Saturday, August the 20th, 1994, and Borough faced their first match in the Vauxhall Conference. Stevenage had arrived. Goals from Steve Conroy, Phil Simpson and Dean Williams gave them an historic victory, which left the side top of the league that evening. The dream start at Stamford quickly turned into a nightmare as Borough began their home campaign against Dover Athletic. The Lily Whites boasted former Spurs striker David Leeworthy in attack, and in no time at all he had the Borough players backpedalling, scoring in some style with only minutes on the clock. This exquisite chip from the edge of the area, not really what the Borough fans had come to see. Borough's defenders were soon put to the test again and were fully stretched when Tony Hayles made it number 2, sliding in on the end of the cross as some of the crowd were still finding their way into the ground. Colin Bluden made it 3 with a well-taken volley before half-time to leave the majority of the 1,700 supporters stunned and wondering what was coming next. (3-0) and worse to come in the following weeks. Gateshead were the next opposition and triumphed 3-2. A point was earned on Bank Holiday Monday at Farnborough, although Borough had been leading until a minute from time. Another defeat, this time at Bromsgrove, meant that Borough had just 4 points from a possible 15 and were in 19th place for the visit of Woking. A tough game was in store, and although Borough put on a fine display in front of a 2,000-plus crowd, their inexperience was tested to the limit, and the damage was done by a 36-year-old Clive Walker. A striker of his class will seize on anything that comes his way, and this volley was only the start of the misery that he and his teammates would give Borough over the next few months. Borough certainly had their chances, roared on by an expectant crowd, but it was down to the goalkeeping of Andy Lomas to keep the score 1-0 at the end. With a rest from league action, Borough accounted for Saffron Walden by 4-1 in the FA Cup before Macclesfield journeyed to Broadhall Way. After some sloppy defending, Neil Howarth opened the scoring for the Silkmen, but Borough battled back and grabbed a share of the spoils in deserved fashion when Vasily Kalogerakis, on loan from Birmingham City, met Dave Venables' cross to equalise and earn Borough their first home point of the season. Gallagher certainly made an impression in his first game for Stevenage Borough. This, though, was his only goal. He soon faded into obscurity and after a month's trial period went back to Birmingham City. Borough's first venture into the Bob Lord Trophy ended in defeat at the hands of Farnborough Town. Goals from Barker and Booth gave the visitors an excellent start, and although Paul Whitmarsh managed to pull a goal back in the first leg just 4 minutes from the end of the game, Borough made their exit, losing 3-1 at Cherrywood Road. Whitmarsh was another striker who showed much promise at the start of Borough's season, but he couldn't maintain a run in the first team, and despite success in the reserves, he was soon to move on to pastures new. More cup action and one of the low points of Borough's season. A home tie against Beaserholm's Premier side Cambridge City should have seen Borough progress into the third qualifying round, and a derby match with Hitchin Town, but the visitors had other ideas and stole the show with 2 excellent goals. Paul Coe lobbed for the first and Neil Pope with the second to send Borough crashing out. Borough's league position was, by the beginning of October, not what you'd call impressive. Points were badly needed, and one was earned against Northwich Victoria. Martin Gittings putting Borough in front and grabbing his first goal of the season. Things were looking good before O'Connor's cross struck on loan Billy Manuel on the arm to give Vagani an easy equaliser from the spot. Billy Manuel, one of the many on-loan players to be seen at Broadhall Way. He soon went back to Cambridge City, where his reputation and fierce tackling soon ended him in trouble with many referees. Borough still, though, couldn't achieve their first home win of the season, despite Northwich having a man sent off midway through the second half. The first home win, though, came 10 days later, on a crazy night against Dagenham and Redbridge. Dennis Green opened the scoring, before Mark Smith stepped in to give Borough back some pride. His 2 goals couldn't have come at a better time. His first from a diving header. His second from some other part of his anatomy. Barry Hayles added a third, and at the final whistle, a sense of relief could be felt throughout the ground. Borough had finally won at home, and the season was about to turn. Five days later, away to second place Altrincham, and Borough secured another 3 points. Tony Lynch scoring the first of many spectacular goals. Second half substitute Lee Ramoon equalised midway through the second half after a mix-up between Headman and Gallagher. But not to be outdone, Mark Smith notched his 3rd goal in 2 games, taking advantage of some leniency from the referee, an offside and a handball. Lady Luck, for once, was shining Borough's way. This win and the one against Dagenham saw the presence of Graham Roberts in the Borough side, having been signed from Enfield. It was a signing that proved invaluable as Borough began their long climb up the table. Rudy Headman's goal at home to Welling was just the start Borough needed, but a goal either side of half-time saw Borough lose at home once more. Borough slumped to 19th place in the table against a side that were rock bottom. This was the first of 2 games that Welling would win against Borough this season. Borough were still in the bottom 3 when they travelled to Witton Albion's ground to face Runcorn. There they were handed a lesson in finishing, as poor defending allowed Mark Hughes to volley and then Rutherford to shoot into the roof of the net, after Graham Roberts had been nutmegged in the area. It was a game that frustrated manager Paul Fairclough, as he agreed with all the fans travelling to the game that we really did gift Runcorn the first 2 goals. One of the pluses in a very disappointing game for Stevenage was the performance of Stuart Beaver. He was having an excellent run in the squad and deservedly pulled a goal back for Borough into the second half. Borough mounted a fight back, but in the end it was all in vain, as minutes from the end Pugh's run and strength proved too much for Newton to cope with, and Borough's fate was sealed, losing 3-1 before a delighted home support that included Jurgen Klinsmann's dad. diving craze had even reached the Vauxhall Conference. November started with a 7-goal thriller against Telford. Eventually Borough emerged victorious, but not after some heart-stopping moments. Martin Myers got proceedings underway before Rudy Headman confirmed his authority in the air with a well-directed header to pull Borough level. Rudy was involved in Borough's second goal, scored by the magic hands of Mark Smith. Mark didn't really care what part of the body it hit him on, as long as it went into the back of the net, and he was doing that with regularity. (2-1) then to Borough, and time for one of the most magnificent goals of the season to be seen at Broadhall Way. On-loan defender Gary Smart decided to try his luck from 30 yards. The result was unforgettable. A 30-yard screamer to give Borough a 3-1 lead that must surely be worth having another look. This strike was Gary Smart's only goal for Stevenage throughout the whole season. A defender with much promise, he was another one that came, saw, hungered and then went. Borough were looking comfortable until manager Paul Fairclough replaced a defender with Tony Lynch. Telford exploited the space down the flanks and pulled themselves back into the game. Warner reduced the deficit before Kearney took full advantage of this dreadful clearance from Andy Lomas to pull the sides level. It had been an appalling day weather-wise, and the 1,000 fans shivering on the terraces were rewarded with a goal for Borough 4 minutes from the end of time. Tony Lynch's cross was turned past his own keeper by Dominic Crooks. Was this the striker Borough had been looking for? 4-3 to Borough at the final score, and it could have been 10. Farnborough Town returned to Broadhall Way the following week and found themselves on the wrong end of a Borough revenge mission. Back from suspension, Barry Hayles showed his striking class, bagging a pair. His second goal owed much to the determination of Mark Smith, but his finish was exquisite. Farnborough did manage to pull a goal back into the second half. A goal that underlined Borough's need to improve their defensive capabilities, but in the end it was to no avail. Stuart Beaver added the other, and Borough recorded a 3-1 home victory to move themselves into 16th place. In front of 1,392 spectators, standing very soggy on the terraces. And so it was off to East London, where Borough managed to make sure there were no Cockney knees-up celebrations, earning a double over their fierce rivals Dagenham and Redbridge in front of the Wire TV cameras for the first time in the season. The match wasn't much to shout about for the audience watching at home, but it mattered not to the Borough supporters who travelled to the East End. Dave Venables led from the front and gave an inspirational performance, backed up by fine work from Mark Smith and Barry Hayles, seen here combining to win a free kick for Borough that led to their goal. The challenge on Barry Hayles may have seemed harmless, but there was nothing innocuous about Kevin Dillon's resulting free kick. Up against Dillon was Bob Boulder, former Charlton Athletic keeper. A man of his experience should really have got to this kick, but it was well struck. Dave Venables sold the dummy, Kevin Dillon did the damage, his first goal for Borough, and a 1-0 win that meant their third win on the trot. Kevin Dillon, Kevin Brock and Graham Roberts were three key players to Borough at this stage in the season, but their influence wasn't as much as Paul Fairclough would have hoped. Certainly Graham Roberts settled in, but Dillon and Brock were never really keen to get stuck in when it mattered. Borough's third win on the trot, but a winning sequence that ended in disappointed fashion at Twerton Park. The last time these two met was in the FA Trophy when a Neil treble goal gave Borough the win. History was not to repeat itself this afternoon. Brantley Dix, psycho brother of Julian, got the first via a wicked deflection. The pace of Barry Hayles was certainly troubling many defenders in the conference, and it was his magnificent run that led to Vaughan Jones hauling him down in the area, to earn the defender a sending off and to give Borough a penalty just 1 minute before half-time. The referee had no option but to give Jones a ticking off and a trip to the dressing rooms for an early bath. Kevin Dillon was the man who had the responsibility of the spot kick, and he converted his second goal in the week with ease. Bath were down to 10 men, but despite their advantage, Borough just couldn't press forward enough and eventually fell down to a quite superb goal from Dean Birkby. This stunning 25-yarder capped a miserable afternoon for the Hertfordshire team. Borough's recent form heralded an expectant crowd at Broadhall Way for the visit of reigning champions Kidderminster Harriers. The champions put on a terrific display in the second half, but not before Borough had frightened them to bed. Kevin Brock smashed home the first, and then Dave Venables grabbed the second with barely 30 minutes on the clock. Lead for Borough United, but the Harriers weren't reigning champions for nothing, and they totally overran the inexperienced Borough defence. Neil Cartwright blasted Kidderminster's opener just moments before the half-time break, and Paul Davis scrambled the second after Gallagher claimed he was pushed in the area. Kidderminster managed to hit the post twice in this match and finally got their just reward late on in the second half, Richard Forsyth grabbing the third as Borough threw away a 2-goal lead in the game they had wrapped up. Oh, block. This disappointing defeat was soon to be forgotten when Borough returned to Agra. Dover Athletic were next, and Borough found themselves in front of the TV cameras again. The Seasiders, though, were too much to handle for the second time in the season. Borough had their chances in a scrappy game, but poor defending proved their undoing. Corey Brown scored the first. A beautifully taken goal as Borough's defence were exposed to the limit. Borough tried their best to get back on level terms, and Dave Venables had their best chance when put clean through in the second half. Unfortunately, his shot was straight at the keeper, either side, and it would have been level. As well as poor defending at this stage of the season, Borough's strikers really needed a new pair of boots. Their finishing was poor, and Borough were suffering as a result. Peter Sodje was just beginning to find his feet at the side, but unfortunately for him, it took him a while to get used to Vauxhall Conference football. David Leeworthy added a second, Borough went down 2-0 and ended November in 16th place. December proved to be a vintage month for the Borough. Paul Fairclough had a great Christmas present when he was crowned Vauxhall Conference Manager of the Month, and Stevenage, bar one hiccup, had a 100% record in all competitions. Barry Hayles proved to be the difference between the two sides when Bromsgrove Rovers were the visitors to Broadhall Way. A scrappy game, but Borough earned 3 points deservedly on the day. A trip to Staley Bridge Celtic was next, and a Brendan Burke goal ensured defeat in a very scrappy match. Defensive frailties were in evidence again, but Borough still finished the month in the top 10 for the first time this season. Borough's effort certainly couldn't be questioned, but it was their lack of clear-cut chances that were proving their undoing in certain games. This, their best effort, and not even a shot on goal. The winter months saw a lot of goals at Broadhall Way, including this 5-goal slaughter of lowly Yeovil. Kofi Nyamar got the ball rolling, shooting low under the keeper in the first half. Now, if there's 5 goals to be had, Barry Hayles is bound to get at least one of them, and he did this afternoon. His pace exploited the offside trap, his finishing was deadly. Not to be outdone, Dave Venables got onto the score sheet as well, with a little help from Yeovil's keeper. Tony Lynch, who'd spent much of the season disturbing the trees at the Roebuck end, finally got a shot on target. This wonderful strike made it 4-0, and Yeovil weren't going to come back from that. Late on in the game, Peter Sodje rounded off the match to read Yeovil their last rites and make it 5 goals on the day. Borough's confidence was beginning to grow, and what better way to put the new-look Borough side to the test than a Boxing Day fixture at arch-rivals Kettering Town. Proving that it takes more than your own personalised dodgy referee to win a match, Tony Lynch opened the scoring. Smith turned shot stopper. To goal provider, as his influence could be felt in all areas of the park. This fine run set up Dave Venables for Borough's second, as they tasted the sweet flavour of revenge. Now, Lady Luck is a beautiful thing, and although the penalty was slightly harsh, Brian Roberts cared not, and inquired of the keeper, please pick this one out. Bath City's protests were in vain, as the Borough captain stepped up and converted a goal. Bath City, ravaged by suspension and injury, fell apart in the second half. Dave Venables' calmness in the area gave Borough a second. And then Barry Hayles ran on, beat the offside trap, and shot coolly into the corner of the net to give Borough a nice end to the year. dodgy drains and the Broadhall Way pitch meant that Borough's next game was an away trip to Merthyr. Simon Dyer put the Welsh side in front 14 minutes into the first half. Borough struggled to find their way in the match until the arrival of new signing Leo Fortune West. He answered his critics and doubters in style, scoring with a superb header just 4 minutes after he entered the field of play. A perfect start for a man who is to become a firm favourite at Broadhall Way over the next coming months. Four minutes from the end of time, Ian Mitchell capitalised on another defensive error and looked to have stolen the show as Merthyr had a 2-1 lead. But Borough are never a side to give up easily and made it 2-2 5 minutes into injury time. Dave Venables capping a fine, determined away performance. Judging by the home fans' reaction, those that were at the Merthyr game were lucky to make it to the border alive. One man who was quickly gaining some respect and admiration from fans and players alike was Arabed Rossian. What a pity it was that he went back to Sweden. His presence in the side was an inspiration at the time, and his control and vision vital, as this goal shows. Dave Venables the happy recipient of a delightful pass. (1-0) away to Northwich Victoria. Some fine chances and great goalkeeping from Des Gallagher ensured a fine victory. Desi was a player enjoying life to the full. Time after time he made vital saves to thwart any striker that came his way, and it was his goalkeeping that often kept Borough in the game. Wire TV paid their first visit to Broadhall Way to see Borough dunk Dagenham out of the trophy. Tony Lynch got proceedings underway. His influence in the side certainly raised team morale and spirit. His finishing was often poor, but there can be no doubting the man's talent. This goal, calmly taken, underlined just how much he'd raised his game to suit the Borough style. Another player who was raising his game was Adam Parker. Of all the young talent at Broadhall Way, Parker is by far the most outstanding, and aside from his temperament, is a real asset to the club. As Borough piled on the pressure, the young midfield maestro showed his temperament and cool finishing to give Borough a 2-0 lead. This was Adam's first senior goal of the season. And Bob Boulder really stood no chance with a finish like that. Late on into the second half, Dagenham did pull a consolation goal back, but it mattered not to Stevenage. Barry Hayles really should have made it 3 with this effort, but the woodwork saved Dagenham's blushes. The consolation goal came, but it was all too little, too late. A fine team performance to make it Stevenage Borough 2, Dagenham and Redbridge 1 on the night, and sent Borough into the next round. Disappointment for the next home fixture against Southport. A lack of fixtures had seen Borough drop to 11th place, a position that was not helped by defeat against the Sandgrounders in a game that saw the visitors mount just 3 attacks. They still managed to score twice though, Leo Fortune West grabbing the goal for Borough with the coolest of finishes. Borough enjoyed most of the play in this game. had plenty of chances to finish the Sandgrounders off, but once again failed to take them. Their lack of composure in front of goal cost them dear, as Southport emerged victorious 2-1 in a game they never deserved to win. Anybody who persisted and finally made it to Yeovil for the 3 times rearranged trophy tie should be warmly applauded. Gary, worldwide traveller Crawshaw, should have sent the Borough fans home back happy, but Graham Roberts' men forced the tie into a replay minutes from the end. How ironic it was that Stevenage were facing Yeovil just days after Graham Roberts had left the club. Roberts was right to go down to Somerset, and it's a shame that they had to go down from the conference at the end of the season. What he did for Borough can never be underestimated. His influence and experience was invaluable, and Paul Fairclough's decision to bring him to Stevenage, a masterstroke. Ask any fan what was Borough's best performance of the season, and the majority will say Kidderminster. Tony Lynch, with his fine strike from the edge of the area, set the ball rolling early into the first half. Richard Nugent, of all people, climbed high in the area to head Borough into a 2-goal lead, which they were never going to lose. On the day, they ran riot over the current champions, on their pitch. A superb team performance led by the impressive Phil Simpson, back after a long injury. Barry Hayles nearly got in Leo Fortune's way, but couldn't stop him from adding a third. 3-0 and a superb performance. Back at Broadhall Way, Borough's trophy run continued. Yeovil were torn apart by the new-look Borough side, and Phil Simpson blasted them into the lead, toe-poking home from close range. It looked to many of those present that the defender had actually got the final touch. But no one was going to deny Phil Simpson a well-deserved goal. Gary Crawshaw was desperately unlucky not to seal the tie, as Borough's superiority shone out. Desperate defending saved Yeovil on that occasion, but all they could do was sit back and applaud the vision of Adam Parker. His lob from fully 30 yards, without doubt Borough's goal of the season. It was as a result of this goal that David Pleat and Mick McCarthy began to ask questions of the teenage striker. Borough had now gone 10 games unbeaten. Surely the bubble had to burst sooner or later. It did, but why did it have to be Woking? Grant Payne opened the scoring after Borough had outplayed the holders in the first half. Scott Steele made it 2 as 10-men Borough wilted under the pressure. An army of volunteers had helped clear the snow off the pitch the 2 days previous to this tie. They must have wondered why they bothered. Richard Nugent's sending off was surely the turning point in a match and an incident that will never be forgotten. To be fair, Woking exploit any gaps very well, but Borough's exit cannot be justified by just their second half performance alone. Clive Walker made it 3 on the day. A week later, and a massive case of déjà vu. Borough's first half dominance yielded nothing, and Phil Simpson's trip opened the floodgates. Clive Walker converted the penalty, and the rest, as they say, is history. For the record, Rattray added Woking's second. A diving header that gave Des Gallagher little or no chance whatsoever. And Peter Sodje's mistimed clearance fell nicely for Payne to seal the misery. Six goals conceded against the same team in the matter of a week. Not a great 7 days for the Borough. If the performance at Kidderminster was as impressive as they come, a home win against Stalybridge was probably the most unlikely. After falling behind in the 3rd minute to a Brendan Burke goal, Borough produced a 5-1 victory that at no stage in the game looked to be on the cards. Leo Fortune West grabbed the first from Borough's first real attack of the game. And seconds before the break, Gary Crawshaw latched onto his pass and finished with style. Stalybridge were reduced to 10 men for the majority of the second half, but even with 11 on the pitch, they could never stop this effort from John Rattle. Maybe he meant to cross it, but it was a delightful goal. Barry Hayles rounded off the day with a fine pair of goals. This header was finished off with something that he does very well, running at the defence, exposing his pace and their lack of it, and finishing in style. Peter Sodje's first contribution of the afternoon was to give away a penalty. The Borough defender had only been on the pitch for a matter of a minute. Des Gallagher managed to save the first effort, but was adjudged to have moved before the ball was kicked. The rebound thudded against the post, and the Borough fans gave a charitable reaction. Halifax Town were the next visitors, and penalties were becoming commonplace at Broadhall Way. Here, Des Gallagher shows off his juggling skills that got him sacked from the circus. But then uses his voodoo curse that we hope will protect his goals for many seasons to come to great effect. The third penalty missed at the same end in 2 days. A slice of luck maybe, but Dave Venables put the match beyond Halifax with a wonderful lob 18 minutes from time. This victory moved Borough into 8th place and once more underlined the all-round improvement in the team. They battled well and deserved the points. This match was followed by a tricky fixture at home to Stafford. It certainly proved to be no easy ride, as Borough were put to the sword by the league's bottom club. Tony Lynch's header had proved to be the best effort for Borough in a match that was scrappy to say the least. As Barry Hayles fell like a sack of potatoes in the area 2 minutes into injury time, Borough were handed a generous penalty. Bill Simpson stepped up, converted, and had Borough's only shot on target for the whole game. Borough set off for a trip to the Shay for their second fixture in 2 weeks against Halifax Town. Borough notched up another fine away win. Dave Venables ended the move to get there first. Coolly finishing, although the Halifax keeper Ford was slightly out of position. Barry Hayles' determination to keep the ball in play when all hope seemed to be lost proved vital, as his pass fed Dave Venables and Leo Fortune West to get Borough's second. A classic move that shows that Borough can play good football when they want to. In the second half, John Rattle tried another long-range speciality of his. This time the keeper was up to it. A fine away win, just 2 weeks after their first victory over the Yorkshire side. Borough's comeback after conceding 2 early goals at home to Kettering was yet another high spot of the season. Poor defending was evident again, but so too was the determination and will to fight back that was lacking in the early part of the season. After going 2 goals down, much of the crowd feared the worst, but Borough bounced back. Although Tony Lynch's free kick was charged down, Peter Sodje returned it with interest, Barry Hayles sprung the offside trap and finished coolly into the corner of the net. It's difficult to play the offside trap against players like Barry Hayles. They've got far too much pace and can make runs from anywhere. Yes! Leo Fortune West made it 2-2, rising like a gazelle in the area. A great comeback and a fine inspirational performance by captain Dave Venables. Mike Vince caught up with him after the game.
How important was it, in terms of belief, to get one back before the break?
It's always a good time to score, you know, just before the break. I mean, we got 2 on Saturday, and they won us the game. But even if we hadn't scored, I still thought, you know, we'd stretched them at times, and we've got so many good athletes in the side. We end up stretching sides all over the place and do create chances. So I wasn't that worried, even if we hadn't have scored just before half-time.
And Leo, again, gets his name on the score sheet. He's making quite an impression in his first few games for the club.
Oh, Leo does well. I mean, he's not the prettiest of players, and he admits that, but he's very effective. And if, you know, you give him a chance, he's putting them away, and fair play to him.
Overall, it's extended the run nicely, now making it 5 matches, 4 straight wins and a draw. Can you put your finger on it? I mean, it's gelled very nicely together.
I don't know, I wish I could. I mean, it's everyone just working for each other. And I mean, when we first came up to the conference, a lot of people were wondering whether we were good enough. And, you know, a few individual players had doubts about their own ability. But if you look at the side, there's maybe 10 of us that were all here last year. And that just goes to show, you know, with a bit of confidence and a few results, that we can all play at this level.
Now, Tony Lynch is a very unpredictable player. His conversion rate is extremely hit and miss. When he puts his mind to it, anything can happen. This 40-yard strike came in only the 2nd minute against Telford and underlined the potential he really has got. The Telford defence were expecting a cross. Tony Lynch had other ideas. Borough started to relax, and that proved to be their undoing, as just 45 seconds later, Telford broke back into the game. Poor defending left Gallagher stranded, and it was 1-1. Stuart Beaver hadn't scored for Borough for quite a while, but he certainly found his scoring boots on this day with a quite brilliant scissors kick after 30 minutes. A home win was expected for the visit of Merthyr, but it proved to be a case of the morning after the night before, as Borough failed to break down the Welsh defence. Unmarked at the far post, Leo Fortune West should have hit the target and done much better when meeting Kenny Webster's cross. That was the story of Borough's day, and their best move came as they were breaking from defence. Peter Sodje's strong clearance found Tony Lynch on the edge of the area. He in turn fed Barry Hayles, who set up Mark Smith to run down the right wing. On a difficult, hard, bubbly pitch, he kept control well. Picked out Dave Venables on the far side. Bill Simpson teed up Barry Hayles, whose shot was goal-bound, but for the brilliance of the Welshman's keeper. A dismal game that ended 0-0 and a less than satisfactory result for both sides. A win against Southport could have seen Borough move into second spot, but the Sandgrounders once again proved Borough's bogey side. Gary Thomas heading in the first goal in their first real attack of the game. Battling against torrential rain for much of the match and a strong wind throughout, Borough fought hard and deserved their equaliser midway through the second half. Running at the Southport defence, they earned a lucky break, and Barry Hayles finished with great aplomb. Des Gallagher had for so often been Borough's hero of the season, but he turned villain of the piece to let Southport get their second goal in this match. Dave Venables had hit the post for Borough, but that miss proved costly as Southport ground their way back in and through a goalkeeping error made it 2-1. Borough should have been expecting a swinging corner, but the defence was caught napping and Des Gallagher caught flapping. As Steve Hoare pounced on the line to make it Southport 2, Borough 1. Before the start of the Altrincham game, the Borough fans held a minute's silence in honour of Mike Wen, the match announcer who had died of a heart attack the previous day. The team paid their respects in style, drubbing the Robins 4-2 with a stylish performance. Barry Hayles notched up the first, after Tony Lynch's volley had been saved on the line. The second came from a Lynch corner. The keeper punched straight to Richard Nugent, who showed his talent as a striker, smashing home. Just as in their home performance against Kidderminster, Borough allowed their visitors to pull back before the break. A wonderful volley, and was it a case of déjà vu? Certainly Borough's form in the early part of the season may have been called into question, but not now. A minute after the restart, Barry Hayles made it 3-1 as Borough took control. His pace once again exploiting the opposition's defence, his finish perfect. In 3 crazy minutes, we had 2 goals and a sending off. Leo Fortune West scrambling the first goal. Altrincham having a player sent off for a second bookable offence seemed to make no difference, as a minute later they pulled it back to 4-2. But the Borough defence did wake up and held firm for a fine victory. Borough's last home game of the season was against Runcorn. It was a game they dominated from start to finish, but still managed to end up the wrong side of a 1-0 defeat. Leo Fortune West wasted glorious chance after another, before Des Gallagher was deceived by the cross and Carl Thomas just prodded into an empty net. Not wishing to disappoint the fanatical home support, Borough pressed forward. And Barry Hayles' trickery on the edge of the area led to a curling shot that was taken away from goal by his own player. And so it was to Macclesfield, champions of the conference and having a party of their own as they celebrated winning the trophy. Tony Lynch proved to be the uninvited guest at the championship celebrations, firing Borough into an early lead. Surely there was no way he could have shot into the roof of the net past a 6'7" keeper, but he did. Barry Hayles got Borough's second, just 30 seconds after the restart, coolly rounding the keeper and finishing into an empty net. Roared on by 400 travelling supporters, Borough produced a fine performance. Their dominance was evident in all areas of the field. At the front they were deadly, at the back they were amazing. A triple Salco and backflip from Peter Sodje to clear that cross. Quite how he got to it is beyond anybody who was present. Macclesfield hit the post twice and had a penalty appeal turned down, as Borough finished the season exactly how they started it. Marvin Bates grabbed the third, scoring his first goal for Stevenage in the 90th minute. 3-0 against the champions Macclesfield Town. A wonderful way to finish off an eventful and historic season. At the final whistle, the Macclesfield fans invaded the pitch, and the Borough supporters were left to salute their own heroes. It had been a triumphant start to the Vauxhall Conference career of Stevenage Borough. It had been a season to savour, but how did the players and management feel the club had coped? Was it hard to adjust to conference football after spending your early days at Barnet playing in the NZ League?
Nah, not really. It's just like a bit more physical, but basically it's the same. There's not a lot between it, really.
And certainly you seem to be enjoying the free role you have running down the flanks and taking people on. You're a natural attacker.
Well, I hope so. I should be. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm just playing a little bit deeper, which gives me a little bit more space, which is just how I like it.
And certainly you'll be remembered during the latter stages of the season for your free kicks that you've been taking out of the top drawer. Have you been working on this in training, or is it just something that comes naturally?
That's just a good soap bunt. No, I have a little strike in training, and then, you know, just bring it on the Saturdays.
What to you has been the highest point of the season so far for you?
I think a little run. We had a little run, everyone's confidence was high, we was all together. I mean, when you're winning, your confidence is high. Do you know, and I think my goal at Telford, it's quite impressive, that.
Certainly took us all by surprise. Did you mean to, when the free kick appeared, do you think, right, I'll have a little pop at this one now?
Yeah, I had a little, calm down lads, everyone else was going, you can't do that, but I just said, oi, sit down, I'm the governor, and I hit it.
What do you think the turning point in Borough's season has been? There was a dodgy patch towards the middle after a great start at Stafford, and things were looking a bit bleak. Where do you think the turning point occurred?
When Robbo left, I think. I think we turned the corner then, yeah.
Not when Robbo joined, just when he left.
Yeah, when he left. I thought that the players kind of fell on Robbo a lot and really wanted him to push us on. But now he's left, and I think the players don't really take it on themselves now to really progress now. Yeah.
It's been a major leap for you coming into a side on the verge last season of promotion from the Deodora, playing in the conference where you were playing at Spartan League level. Have you found it difficult to adjust?
Yeah, I found it difficult. The physical side of things, really. But apart from that, skill-wise, I think I got it, and I'm happy to be here. Hopefully, I'll stay here for next season as well.
Certainly, if we'd have started the season the way we finished it, promotion may have been a realistic possibility. Do you see that being possible for next season, maybe?
Winning the championship, promotions, that's to be done off the field. Certainly winning the championship, it's obviously going to be our target for next season. And if we'd have started the season, as you rightly said, the way we finished it, then the championship wouldn't have been beyond us. Yeah. But that's for next year now.
Obviously, in your playing career, playing with Leeds and with Swindon, you reached the high points of any footballer's career. Do you see this now being even higher, promotion to the conference and all this success with Stevenage Borough?
No, if I'm totally honest, there's no substitute for playing, and this is just second best. But from my point of view, from a management point of view, then this is as good as it probably gets. I mean, I've seen the club rise from literally a parked team to now to the pinnacle of non-league football, and hopefully we can still progress.
Must make you very proud to sort of sit back in your armchair at night and think, well, yeah, I've been a part of this throughout the years, all the highs and lows. What this season has been your high point?
Probably the highest point was going to the current champions, or last year's champions, and beating them 3-0 comfortably. And I realised that we've got the makings of a very, very good side.
Borough finished the season in 5th place on 67 points. They scored 68 times and conceded just 49 goals. Only Macclesfield let in less. They reached the 3rd round of the trophy and beat Kidderminster, Halifax, Altrincham, Kettering and Gateshead, all away from Broadhall Way. Paul Fairclough was manager of the month for December, and Mark Smith beat Des Gallagher and Barry Hayles to receive the Supporters Association Player of the Year award. Barry Hayles became the Herald Player of the Year, and the final word falls to Paul Fairclough. Are you pleased that it is the nucleus of the squad that won the Deodora Championship last year that's ended up as the present squad at the moment?
Yeah, I'm pleased for them as individuals, because they know now that they can cope with conference football. But we do need to look to strengthen the team if we're going to go on a little bit further.
There's been so many great performances by the team. What to you has been the single most pleasing game this season?
I think I wouldn't say there's a single game, but the games that bring to mind will be the ones that, the Kidderminster away, the Kettering away, Gateshead away. There's been so many bright occasions this season. There's been a few low points, but people who've been down here, I think, will say generally they've had a really good time coming to watch Stevenage Borough this season. They've seen every possible emotion that you can get down at Broadhall Way this year. Despair, depression, glory, frustration, you name it. We've had everything down here this year.
After your big flutter on the Borough's FA Trophy exploits, are you planning another big bet for the league maybe next year?
Yeah, I'll have a flutter. I mean, I'll back my boys all the way, yeah, definitely.